Okay, ladies, so this is the Universal Childish Rich Matrix. It's everything a young woman needs to know about men. I've been watching the Universal Hot Crazy Matrix, and I've developed this one on my own over the last 10 minutes because my female brain does not mismanage its processing power by contemplating the types of conundrums that men concern themselves with. Like how to perfect the timing of the universal pull my finger joke, or how much earwax can one consume in public without it being noticed? Oh, free answer for the men playing along? None. So anyway, it didn't take me decades to figure this matrix out. Okay, so this is how it works. You have your childish axis and your rich axis. Rich is, as usual, measured from bankrupt to 10. We're all familiar with that. Childish is measured from 5 to 10 because, of course, there's no such thing as a man who's matured past a 5 childish. This is your childish rich line right here, and you need to keep a close eye on that. As a rule, this is your no-go zone. Do not get involved with, date, or marry men here. We just rule this out. Even if the man's an Adonis, this is not the place for you. Above a 5 and to about an 8 and below the childish line, this is your charity zone. This is the zone where you're going to have to occasionally throw some crumbs, okay? A few charity dates and just some mercy missions for the poor blokes who'll never make the grade. But keep in mind, when you're in the charity zone, you want to move out of that place as fast as you can. After all, it's exhausting and you can't save the world. Right, so that's the charity zone. Above the childish line, we have the danger zone. This is your mullets, your couch potato, anyone named Dazza, your sailors, footballers. This is where you're going to be a gaming widow. You're tripping over race guides and beer cans, your freezer's full of thaw and heat, your bathroom's a hazmat zone, and you wind up trapped in a Dutch oven. So steer clear. Okay, now we have some of the chart filled in, just a few more pieces to go. But at this point, understand something. There are no guarantees that the man you think you know will maintain their place on this chart, and at any point he can, and most likely will, devolve back into a creature the likes of which requires him to be handed back to his mother to straighten out. So what you have to do is, over time, come to peace with this and acquire enough wine, chocolate, and some good female friends for support and solace. But really, when all hope is gone, then really all it comes down to is cats. Now, moving on, you have this zone here. This is below the childish line, above an 8 rich, but still about a 6.5 childish. This is your date zone, and you can stay here indefinitely. These men are rich and reasonably less childish some of the time. Now, above an 8 rich and between about a 6 and a 6.5 childish, this is your husband zone. When you meet this man, you should consider accepting this is probably about as good as it gets. Sorry. But now, remember, this chart is not scaled to size. These zones do not represent the actual number of people in each, and, like the hot, crazy matrix, they do not, in reality, represent anything more than a load of old bollocks. But what you do want to do is be between a 6 and a 6.5 childish and above an 8 rich. That's your husband zone. Below a 6 childish and above an 8 rich, this is the Prince Charming zone. These are the fantasy characters of your childhood fairy tales that every little girl was told big fat lies about and grew up believing they existed. If you see one of these, assume your drink's been spiked and seek help. Now, I was talking about this to a friend once, really, in the last 10 minutes, and she said, wait a minute, I met a man and he was off the scale rich, totally minted. And he was just like a grown-up. I'm talking like not even a 3 childish. I said, you're telling me that you met a man who's like a 9 rich and he behaves like a paid-up adult member of the human race? And she said, yeah, and I really like him. I said, I'm happy for you that you met George Clooney, but I'm sorry to say he's already taken. See, this is where you've got to be careful, because below a 5 childish and above an 8 rich, you're probably talking to George Clooney. And that is the childish rich matrix.